Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating and air, restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
Good evening. It's Thursday, May 5th. Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. The fight over protecting reproductive rights hits center stage this afternoon here in San Diego. California's Attorney General, flanked by local leaders, making the case to see to it legally abortion rights are protected here in California. KPBS reporter John Carroll is live with more on today's development following the recent opinion draft. The Supreme Court is poised to overturn Roe v. Wade. John. Now, I apologize. It would appear that our live crew may be having some technical problems. We'll try to check in with them again later in this newscast. But for now, we're going to move on to one of our top stories. Much discussion is centered on the Supreme Court considering the overturning of Roe v. Wade. Gay rights activists are expressing concern of another decision that could put gay rights at risk. The case of Obergefell versus Hodges is the case that legalized same-sex marriage. Obergefell says if Roe v. Wade is overturned, it could create an opening for other rights grounded in privacy and liberty to face a similar fate.
Well, I think making sure that people understand the risk that we all face, these fundamental rights that we have enjoyed, the right to privacy, the right to marry, those are not rights that are specifically outlined in the Constitution. Those rights are at risk.
Obergefell married his partner in 2013 and sued to be recognized as his spouse after his death. He's now running for an Ohio House seat where he says he plans to work on this issue. New numbers show the staggering deadly impact still playing out due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Think about this. The World Health Organization says nearly 15 million people have died around the world directly or indirectly due to the virus. That's nearly 3 times higher than previously reported. 1 million of those deaths here in the U.S. Officials say the spike is due to underreporting worldwide and to deaths indirectly associated, such as those of people who didn't receive other life-saving care. COVID-19 cases are rising again in San Diego County, and we just got the latest numbers, which are now released on Mondays and Thursdays instead of daily. 837 new cases were reported for May 4th, as well as 5 deaths since Monday. KPBS health reporter Matt Hoffman says the good news is requests for treatments are also up, and those treatments are now available.
So I know with COVID, everything changes and ebbs and flows, and that is our new normal, right? Is that we're going to have increasing cases, we're going to have decreasing cases. Right now, we're at a point where we're starting to have an increase in cases.
San Diego County's Deputy Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Jennifer Tudor, says the most recommended COVID treatment is the antiviral Paxlovid. It's prescribed by a doctor and can be picked up at local pharmacies. Like other treatments, it has to be used within the first few days after symptoms start.
We are seeing an uptick in both the oral treatments, and we've continued week after week to have an uptick in the utilization of our monoclonal antibodies in the MARC sites.
The county helps run 3 sites where monoclonal antibodies are given. The antibodies require an infusion and are done free of charge during a single visit. There's good news about these existing COVID treatments and new variants.
Those 3 top treatments that are recommended by the NIH are thought to be effective against the BA2.
Tudor says it's believed that the treatments also work against a new subvariant of BA2 that's starting to be found in San Diego. The county is also working to make sure that doses of Evusheld are going out to those who need it. Evusheld is a preventative treatment for people who are immunocompromised and therefore don't get enough or any protection from the COVID-19 vaccines. It's also for those who are allergic to vaccines.
We need to do that dual approach where we make sure that providers are aware of it and we make sure that patients are aware of it, so we can really get anyone who's vulnerable in our population, we can get them that treatment.
Tudor says the county has seen a slow increase in hospitals and clinics who are ordering Evusheld. She says, bottom line, there's no shortage of COVID therapeutics in the county.
But if you get COVID, get treatment.
Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
And right now, we would like to get back out to John Carroll at Skyline Hills Library. KPBS reporter John Carroll, he's live with more on today's development following the recent opinion draft. The Supreme Court is poised to overturn Roe v. Wade. John.
Maya, that discussion, a roundtable discussion here, wrapped up just about an hour ago here at the Skyline Hills Branch Library. Assembly member Dr. Akilah Weber was joined by California Attorney General Rob Bonta for the discussion, though she says she was not surprised. Assembly member Weber says her heart sunk when she heard the news on Monday. As you'll recall, that's when Politico published a leaked draft of a Supreme Court decision on the upcoming Dobbs case out of Mississippi. That case seeks to severely restrict abortion in that state. 5 out of the 9 justices signed on to the opinion written by Justice Alito. Assemblymember Weber says she knows in a very personal way what happens when abortion rights are restricted. We'll hear from her first on that, then from Attorney General Bonta pledging that California will protect a woman's right to choose no matter what.
I've lived in Louisiana and had friends who were seeking abortion services that had to drive hundreds of miles to get there. I practiced in Texas, where their war against women's health care never stopped in 1973. It just continued to progress and ramp up.
We will expand access to health care. We will expand access to abortion. We will meet this moment, and we will lead this country, as we have done so often. Leading to that phrase, as California goes, so goes the nation.
After the discussion wrapped up, I asked Assemblymember Weber whether she was concerned about the announced decision by some Republicans in Congress to go ahead and eventually make abortion illegal nationwide. She said that she was very concerned about that possibility. Live in Skyline Hills, John Carroll, KPBS News.
California has an unsettling past when it comes to bilingual education, especially for Spanish-speaking immigrant students. KPBS education reporter MG Perez tells us about the ongoing shortage of bilingual teachers and what's being done to bridge the learning gap.
Interested in becoming a teacher? There are more pathways than ever to get there.
The San Diego County Office of Education is doing a hard sell in recruiting teachers. The county struggles to give aspiring teachers a true sense of what it takes to get credentialed. The disconnection is even greater when the search is for bilingual teachers. That is now a critical priority.
It's good for students to see that their teachers might be second language learners or educators of color, because now they can see themselves in their teacher.
But finding qualified teacher candidates who are fluent in English and Spanish and other languages isn't easy. Mesa College has a new program aimed at educating and supporting those who want to teach. It's called deber, which is a Spanish word that means duty or responsibility.
I feel like there's a responsibility to pay it forward to our community.
Jorge Villalobos is an associate professor at Mesa College and activity director of the DeBed program.
They want to feel comfortable being themselves and just to be able to switch very comfortably as well between English and Spanish, not feeling that their accent is going to be an impediment for them to show as professional as any other counterpart.
The COVID crisis isn't the only reason for teacher shortages. There is a lingering legacy from a California proposition passed back in 1998 that basically banned bilingual education, forcing non-English speaking students to learn in English unless they had a waiver. It was only repealed 6 years ago, which has contributed to the loss of bilingual teachers in the pipeline, leading to classrooms and students in desperate need.
The first thing that I do when I get to the classroom is giving those students the confidence they need, giving them the representation they need.
Vanessa Stone has been a participant in the Mesa College DebEd program since it started 3 years ago. She's now mentoring other upcoming students. The Mesa program is expected to expand to City College. It is already partnered with Southwestern College and San Diego State, where Vanessa plans to transfer within a year so she can start reaching those students caught in the bilingual gap.
Them not having English as their first language is not a disability. If anything, it's something that's going to help them later in life and that they can do anything.
That says hope in any language. MG Perez, KPBS News.
Right now, severe bloody battles are unfolding in the Ukrainian city of Mariupol. A top commander there says Russian forces breached the perimeter and are shelling nonstop. Reporter Isabel Rosales is tracking the efforts to get residents to safety.
In Mariupol's last line of defense, unrelenting Russian attacks. Fierce, bloody combat is how one Ukrainian commander is describing it. The bombardment on the Azovstal steel plant happening from land, sea, and air.
Russia is showing absolutely no respect whatsoever to their lives.
Still bracing in an underground bunker are hundreds of civilians. This video capturing the moment Ukrainian soldiers alongside them sing a Ukrainian patriotic anthem. A Ukrainian commander says Russia broke its pledge to allow a new round of evacuation corridors with its non-stop attacks.
Yet again, the Russians have broken their promise of truce and have made it impossible to evacuate civilians.
Holding the line. In the east, in the Luhansk and Donetsk regions, Ukrainian officials say Russia has had no success in breaking through the front lines. Take a look. A Russian missile strike caught on camera as it hits a bridge in central Ukraine. To the east, apartment buildings torn apart by another Russian missile strike. At least 25 civilians are hurt. And across the Atlantic, the White House is pushing back against a New York Times story claiming U.S. intelligence is helping Ukraine kill Russian officials. A National Security Council spokesperson denying that premise and calling the report misleading and irresponsible. In Washington, Isabel Rosales, KPBS News.
San Diego County released its over $7 billion recommended budget today. Some of the largest investments are on mental health, housing, and homelessness. $72.8 million is recommended to support mobile crisis response teams made up of mental health experts. There's also $11.9 million from one-time stimulus funds dedicated to develop affordable housing. Another $10 million would go to shelter programs. County departments will make presentations on May 19th and 20th. The supervisors must approve a new budget by June 30th. The number of people experiencing homelessness in downtown San Diego and the surrounding area doubled last year. KPBS Race and Equity reporter Christina Kim says an SDSU professor and his students are now asking people living on the streets what they actually need.
It really puts a human face on people living in the street.
On any given day, you can find Bruce Appleyard and his students walking around San Diego's homeless encampments.
Draw like where you sleep.
Talking with people and asking them to draw maps.
Students and student researchers and myself go out and have people answer a few questions and then draw maps on blank pieces of paper of their most important activities and the most important destinations of their daily lives.
It's all part of a research project Appleyard started in spring 2021. He's a professor of city planning and urban design at SDSU, and he's trying to better understand how people experiencing homelessness navigate their daily lives.
It's a human-centered approach to understanding their home territories and their needs.
It all starts with Appleyard and the students asking people if they're in fact experiencing homelessness and if they have time for some questions. People like Terrence Mayfield. The 45-year-old native San Diegan has been living in the streets for years.
It's been a struggle, out here, just trying to maintain and survive.
SDSU student Evan Dennis interviewed Mayfield. She made sure to ask questions about certain services, such as shelters, and how they're working for him.
So would you go back now, or?
Would I go to the shelter? I might go to a shelter, but I just got out of one.
Okay.
And I'm pretty much burnt out on it. Dealing with the people out here is a little more.
Would you say it's less stressful?
In there, there's a different type of stress. You know what I'm saying? It's closed quarters, and then you got hygiene issues with other people, and using the facilities and whatnot.
And finally, Dennis and Appleyard asked Mayfield to draw a map of his home territory, where he goes to sleep, to get food, charge his phone, and other daily tasks.
Where do you charge your phone?
Library,
okay.
Maybe.
He says he's always moving, but that the map he just drew says a lot about where he lives.
I really don't go past this area.
Would you consider this your home territory?
I wouldn't consider it home.
Right.
But it's my community.
And that's a distinction Mayfield wants to make. Home means something very different than just shelter.
To me, homeless and houseless are, two different things. And, you can have a house or an apartment or whatever and still be homeless.
After the interview wraps up, Appleyard gives Mayfield a gift card for food. Everyone who does an interview gets one. And at the end of the day, the SDSU group reviews all the maps they've collected.
This is drawn by Alfredo. On the corner of Imperial and 16th he mostly stays on this side. He mentions how he uses the porta potty and the water stations here.
They want to use them to design services that make sense based on what they've heard about shelter curfews, crowding, and the areas many people avoid. But Appleyard says the maps are also a reflection of our society.
It's not as much what the maps say about the homeless individuals we're interviewing. It's really about what it says about us. And oftentimes, people are just looking at homelessness as a problem that needs to be solved and dealt with, but in ways that really aren't helping things in the way that we've seen them through the maps we've collected.
And that message of seeing people for people is a message that's already taking hold with his student researchers, like Evan Dennis and Michael Rumfula.
It's just a really humbling experience getting out to go back into the community and just interview and give people in the community an opportunity to share their story.
Slips over here on Logan Avenue.
Appleyard and his students plan to keep collecting maps and hope local governments will use the lessons gleaned from them. They've already met with the county's Office of Homeless Solutions. Christina Kim, KPBS News.
We've had a pretty pleasant stretch of weather along the coast and even into the San Diego area. And we've also seen some clouds accompanying right along the coast and working their way further inland throughout our Thursday. Clouds will hang around for Thursday, but we still have some warmer weather that will last through Friday before we tap into a cooler weekend that lies ahead of us. So let's talk about temperatures falling back to the lower 50s for Escondido tonight, Oceanside 51, San Diego only dropping to 59. So actually it's a mild evening for you. Chula Vista, you're looking at 54, El Cajon 54 as well. Borrego Springs falling back to 58 overnight. It's sunny and warm for your Friday. That jet stays to the north for the most part, and so you'll feel that warm air expanding and pretty warm conditions even across the desert Southwest. They flirt with triple digits the further inland you go. You can see places like Borrego Springs tomorrow getting to 101 in the afternoon. Mount Laguna even into the lower 70s. San Diego, you'll be at 70 tomorrow afternoon. El Cajon 84 and Ramona 85. Escondido some lower 80s. Then we look into Saturday and we have this upper level energy energy that will work its way into the Pacific Northwest. This front will also plunge its way further to the south. So out ahead of it, the warmth continues to build, but the breeze will also pick back up into the forecast, which is not great when it comes to fire weather concerns. And I do think it will be pretty gusty in those higher elevations. I also mentioned those clouds kind of lingering around for your Friday. That will continue even into your Saturday as well. In fact, take a look at what we see for our extended forecast. 5-day outlook here for the coast. You'll see temperatures taking a little bit of a dip as we head into Sunday, Monday, and even Tuesday. That's that cool stretch that I mentioned, and you can see how it's presented as well. The further inland you go, temperatures dropping to the mid-60s by your Tuesday. And into the mountains you go, you get 70s for tomorrow, but by Monday, high temperatures only in the upper 50s, and even a cool down across the desert. For KPBS News, I'm meteorologist Michelle Rotella.
MTS is going green, and in a first-of-its-kind way locally. The transit system broke ground today in Chula Vista on the first large-scale overhead electric bus charging system in the region. This will go a long way toward helping the environment and the economy.
We'll start to charge these buses overnight so that when they're running around the streets of San Diego, they will be completely clean with zero emissions. Right now with gas prices, you know, you fill up your tank and you say, why am I doing this? When in reality, we have a really wonderful network of buses and trolleys here in San Diego County. So I hope people will take advantage of it.
Construction was funded by grant money, and this should help MTS reach the state's goal of going all electric by the year 2040. Mortgage rates hit their highest level since 2009 this week. Freddie Mac reports the 30-year fixed-rate mortgage averaged 5.27. It's well above the 2.96% average from this time just last year. The upward trend has pushed rates more than 2 percentage points higher this year, and that's the fastest pace in decades. Summer is almost here, and that means it's camp time for many kids. And with COVID restrictions on the decline, enrollment is on the rise. Here's KPBS reporter Alexander Nguyen.
Summer is coming. In San Diego, for some kids, it means spending a day at the beach. For others, it's spending a day at summer camps, doing rock climbing or arts and crafts.
Summer camp starts on June 20th.
That's Lauren Gregg. She oversees camp enrichments for the San Diego YMCA. With pandemic restriction easing, more parents are looking to enroll their kids at camps.
Being able to be back without the restrictions is really exciting for us.
But that is also causing some challenges.
You know, there's a staffing issue right now, so it is limited based on our ratios as to how many kids we can serve based on staff.
And it's not just the Y. Camps throughout San Diego are experiencing the same issues and are filling up fast. And that's causing problems for parents like Otay Ranch mom Viva Nguyen. She's a working mom with 2 kids, and she's looking for all-day camps for her 8-year-old son. The Y is one of the programs she looked into.
Most of them, they get full booked pretty fast too. And it's one of the options, definitely.
Nguyen is a pro at this. She says she puts camp's registration dates on her calendar months in advance. That makes sure her son gets a spot in the camps he likes. She recommends parents do the same.
That way, you won't miss on the chance to get into that summer camp.
For parents with limited means, summer camps is not out of the option. The YMCA has scholarships available. Just visit a branch or go online to fill out the application. But do it soon. Alexander Nguyen, KPBS News.
Teens can work out for free at Planet Fitness this summer. The gym chain announced the High School Summer Pass initiative for those aged 14 to 19. They can sign up in person at any Planet Fitness location or online. The program kicks off on May 16th and lasts through August 31st. Baby formula recalls, product shortages, both issues leading to empty shelves. So what should parents do if they can't find formula for their child? Mandy Gaither finds out from a pediatrician.
He's 5 months old with a sensitive stomach, so when Weston's mom found a baby formula her son could tolerate, she stocked up.
Just a few weeks later, I found out about the recall, and all of our packages that I had were recalled.
With recalls and supply chain issues, Joy Green is now having trouble finding any formula.
That's all he's allowed to eat right now is formula. So as a mom, it's like, how am I going to feed my kid?
Dr. Stephen Abrams, former chair of the American Academy of Pediatrics Committee on Nutrition, says the key to managing this shortage, flexibility.
Babies can get used to one formula, but if that formula simply isn't there, families are going to have to look and find the closest alternative.
Abrams says if you're not sure of the closest formula match or if your baby eats a specialized formula for allergies, talk to your pediatrician. He says not to introduce solid foods or cow milk to your child early. Those aren't sources of good nutrition in the first few months of life.
For those under 6 months of age, it's usually just about the only thing they eat. So if you over-dilute it or if you make your own homemade mixture, you're not going to be getting the safe nutrition that the baby needs.
At this point, we're just buying what we can and literally living day to day.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
I'm Judy Woodruff. Tonight on the NewsHour, new data shows that COVID-related deaths have reached nearly 15 million worldwide. Coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
Starting tonight, PBS is bringing the Filipino-American experience to its audience in a new show called Out of the Boondocks. Boondocks means something hidden or far and comes from a Filipino word. The 6-part docuseries will showcase the Filipino culture and creativity through the lens of local San Diego Filipino artists and innovators.
What do you think is something that people can learn from Filipino culture?
The resourcefulness, I think, and, you know, just the joy of our people. Like back home, we had so little that we find simple joys in mundane things.
You can watch Out of the Boondocks tonight at 8:30 right here on KPBS TV. New episodes will air on Thursday nights, or you can stream it anytime on demand with the PBS video app. And you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. Have a great evening.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating and air, restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley. And by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.